Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com, and I'm here with Mark, who is one of the co-composers on Moana 2. So I want to say a huge thank you for taking your time out. Obviously, the movie's just come out. It's been massively successful. I went to see it last week and loved it. But I got to ask you first off, how did you actually get involved in making music for films and shows to begin with?
Way back. I've always been a songwriter. I've always been very, very interested in pop music, but I also had a kind of a classical background. So, when you're trying to make your way through the music business, looking at different avenues, one of the jobs I got when I was playing in clubs at night was to write documentaries for hunters on how to gut deer.
All right.
And so I, of course, took those jobs whenever I could get them, and kind of learned how to, write music. And back then, syncing up to the film was very difficult. It's a different kind of concept of a way to do it. But as I kind of came up through that, I was pretty skilled at doing that kind of thing, and eventually, some of my work found its way to rock bands, and I worked with them. But some of my work also found its way to Hans Zimmer. And he asked me to come in and work on a film with him. And I already had kind of the skill set, part of it, to go into that kind of a situation. So I was kind of doing both. I was working on records and producing bands, but then I was also working with Hans and doing sort of film music. So it kind of led to this whole world that I'm in now, where I've got my greasy hands on everything when I do a movie like Moana.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking through the movies shows that you've worked on, there was many there that I was like, oh wow, there's some of my favorites, like Con Air, etc. But with regards to like Moana 2, where did the inspiration from the sound for that film come from?
Really, we kind of developed the idea on the first movie. We didn't really know what Moana was. Nobody did, and they put Lynn Miranda, myself, and Opetaia Foa in New Zealand. We met up. We went to a festival of Polynesian music, and that's kind of our beginning of our education. And we sort of started there. You had a composer with my European background, and then you had a composer like Lynn, who's a songwriter and more of a theatrical kind of a storyteller, and then you have Opetaia from Australia, who knows the Polynesian culture. So this combination was an interesting group of diverse people, and we started to formulate and develop what Moana was. And so when we started on Moana 2, my goal was really to grow up, have the music grow up a little bit, like Moana. Have a little more refined. I know my toolbox now. I work on everything on these movies. So I work on the songs, I work on the score. So I've, as I said, I've got my hands on everything. I kind of want to make sure that everything sounds like it's coming from one kind of general sense.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, obviously, like these songs like Beyond play a huge part in this second film. How do you kind of adjust those kind of big songs into the overall score?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, that's exactly what I do. Besides writing the score, one of the things I'm always really concerned with these Disney musicals is I like the score and the songs to feel like it's all coming from the same brain, even though it isn't. And so I don't like that feeling when I know the song's starting, or where it feels like a different producer took over where the song starts, and then when we go back to the score, it's a different feeling or a different writer or a different sound. I like it to all be one thing. So on this movie, we actually worked on both at the same time. Most of the time, you work on the songs ahead of time. This one was really kind of working on the score and the songs at the same time and developing them as we went. So the sound and the recordings of the songs and the score sort of took place around the same times.
Okay, cool. I was going to say as well, like, how did you kind of like balance trying to make sort of Moana 2 sort of similar to Moana 1, but also feel like new?
Well, for one thing, it has new themes. And as I said, Moana is 22 or 23 in the movie now. She was 16. So, she's more grown up. and the story's a little bit more grown up. And so I was able to take the music and refine it and come up with some new themes that are a little bit more, I don't want to say sophisticated, that doesn't sound right, but a little more grown up, you know, and I know my toolbox now. I really understand what the sound of the Moana score is. It's a very layered, kind of a complex sound. But I kind of know what it is, so it's a little bit easier to kind of envision what I'm going to do with the score.
That's cool. So originally Moana 2 was actually kind of being put together as a show for Disney Plus, and then it kind of changed to being a movie. Did that impact on much on what you were doing?
Very much, yeah. In fact, I think a lot of what we were doing didn't get used. And some things that we did early on became something else. It's kind of interesting, you know, moments that we had that we were working on kind of evaporated, but the musical idea was so strong that it ended up kind of moving over into this story.
Yeah, because obviously a big thing with the shift over. Now, hopefully, maybe you can use some of those songs in maybe Moana 3. They did do a teaser on that one.
Right, that would be nice, actually. Yeah,
so I've also got to ask, what's been your biggest highlight working on Moana 2?
You know, I have to say that the success of it, because I think that when we started working on Moana 2, I don't think we realized how impactful the first movie was. You know, for us, it was hard to do the first movie. We didn't really know what it was. And then we put it out and, you know, it did well, but then you move on to something else and you kind of lose track of it or whatever. And it wasn't until we came back to it, you know, that we realized how much it impacted so many people and how hungry they were for this next installment, if you will, of Moana. So that was kind of exciting.
That was actually a big thing as well, because the original Moana has been huge on Disney Plus. One of not just the biggest film on Disney Plus, but across all the streaming platforms.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of thing of like, did you feel more pressure with the second one after you kind of realized that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think my thing was, I mean, you know, sequels generally can be really bad. And so I really wanted to make sure that we weren't putting something out that we all felt like was a rehash or a money grab or that kind of feeling, because I'm really precious to Moana and I didn't want that feeling. And I know that Disney didn't either. So that was always in the forefront of our mind, to make sure that what we were doing was really creative and really strong and innovative and all of those good things.
That's cool. And what was like the biggest challenge that you had working on Moana 2?
Well, the time frame was really difficult because of the fact that it was, you know, it was on one time frame as a TV thing, and then it wasn't just moved over to a movie, it was completely rewritten, which means that we had to kind of stand by and wait till we knew kind of where we were going. And at that point, then we didn't have as much time as we would have liked to have had to do it. And these are big, gigantic movies with big, gigantic scores with layers of vocals and percussion, and you know, so it was difficult to get it all finished on time.
Well, I mean, I've been listening to the soundtrack since I've seen it. To be honest, I didn't want to listen to it until I'd seen the movie. That was the kind of thing. I wanted to watch the movie first, and then I've been listening to it. But you've worked on so many amazing franchises for Disney. You've got like Planes, as I said, Con Air, The Lion King, loads of other ones. So there's lots of Disney franchises out there. And that's my final question is, what other Disney franchise would you like to work on in the future?
Well, I don't know what they're doing, you know. Right now, you know, I did the songs from Mufasa.
Oh, yeah.
I co-produced those with Lynn. And that's really fun because right now it's exciting for me because I have this Moana and then I have Mufasa coming out. And then I did the movie with Clint Eastwood, Juror Number 2, which just released yesterday streaming. And that's doing really well in the streaming world. So it's exciting, and I'm not really sure what Disney has in store, you know, I mean, other than Moana 3, probably. I don't know, you know, like a fresh story. I would love to do, you know, a fresh idea with them. I just don't know what they got in the books. Who knows, right? They keep those things secret from me.
Oh yeah, they keep those things
Very
locked
tight.
away. But again, thank you so much for taking your time out to speak to me today.
Yeah.
It's been really, really good. Just kind of catching up and just like discussing, about Moana. It's such a fantastic film.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's really great.
Yeah, no, it was really good, and I've been really enjoying the music. So again, thank you so much. And obviously, you can watch Moana 2 in cinemas now. You can watch the original Moana on Disney Plus, and Moana 2 will be hitting Disney Plus in 2025. But again, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.